Question 3, Dom, is all about the unions, of course, and the controversy around, particularly the American union, saying behavioural safety is really the work of the devil. You know, and that any work done with the workforce needs to be done through the unions. You know, and of course the answer to that is that if you're doing stuff that is, if you can walk on these hot coals, you can do anything. So go off and be safe. Then we're guilty as charged, and anybody doing that under a behavioural safety banner is guilty. But all the best behavioural safety work, as we've already said, is based on just culture, root cause analysis, and working with and empowering people on the shop floor. So really, I think it's an argument that doesn't need to be had. You know, and really, it doesn't matter who's doing the analysis, the empowerment, and the facilitation, just so long as somebody is. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, some of the best implementations we've ever had have been run by union shop stewards. I mean, fantastic. And again, I'll refer to SABIC in the UK. We started in January 1997. By 2008, nationwide in the UK, their incident rate, including all of the contractors, all of the shutdowns, was 0.05. From the guys doing behavioural safety. Had a huge part in it. It wasn't all of it, but had a huge part in it. So, I mean, the union guys themselves, we've had backing when I was here in England back in the 90s. We got the backing of the GMB, we had the backing of all the unions. Something's changed with the ideology that's come from the States, and people have just jumped on the bandwagon, and I don't think they've really thought through what they're saying. I don't think they've gone out and consulted their membership.
Okay, but what we're saying is, so long as somebody's doing the analysis and the communication, that's
Absolutely.
fine. Doesn't matter who. Great. Dom, on my travels with behavioural safety, we've stressed that it's a holistic thing. And the things that I think, the 3 things that I see wrong, typically. Number 1, you get management commitment that's strong enough to do good training and set up a programme, but it isn't strong enough to follow it through and embed it properly. So it sort of dissipates and you end up with that infamous safety wave. Second one you'd see is you have a good list of behaviours to look at, but it turns into some sort of hazard spot crap list generation thing with no root cause analysis, so nothing ever gets changed at a root cause level. The third thing would be a really good walk and talk approach, but what happens is they might tie that in with human resources on a quota system, so they measure the number that are done, but they don't cross-reference that with the quality, and of course you end up with loads of crap ones made up at the end of the month. You know, so those would be my 3 sort of big things that we see traditionally when we go and see an existing behavioural programme that's gone wrong. What would you see on your travels?
By and large, I would agree with all of that. I think one of the failings of behavioural safety that hasn't been mentioned yet is that we don't deliberately create strategies for each layer in the incident causation chain, commonly known as the Swiss cheese model. So what do we do with behavioural safety to target the chief executives and the senior management team? What do we do to get the line management involved? What do we do to get human resources, finance, legal, maintenance, all of those guys involved? Because if you're going to do a behavioural safety process, don't just target the guys at the sharp end, get everybody involved. So that, I think, is one of the big failings. And then I think a lot of these, what you're talking about, I believe, are execution errors. It's about people want to shortcut the process. They don't want to have to put the effort in. Where you talk about management walk-arounds, talk-arounds or whatever, we've got software that monitors that, monitors the consequences, and we've seen absolutely astonishing results within 2 weeks on construction sites. We got to 0 incident rates, and we're only asking them to do 2 a week. So that's about the length of your quotas, once a quarter versus 2 weeks. And the research that we've done with BBS shows the more you increase your contact rate, the bigger the impact you're going to have. The more feedback you give people through different channels, not just verbal feedback, but written feedback, graphical feedback, sit down and discuss the results. You have 10 standard deviations unit, higher impact again. So a lot of the errors that go on out there are execution errors, and it's where people try and shortcut the process because they're trying to be lean. I think that's probably...
So on behalf of SHP, can I just say, Dom, thanks ever so much for coming in and sharing your knowledge with us. Dr. Dominic Cooper.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tim Marsh. Thank you.